U.S. building permits fell 11.2% in November, and then on top of that, builder sentiment, builders' confidence fell for the 12th straight month. Is the housing market dead? Well, according to some demand and supply issues, we could say no, but it's not that people are not wanting to buy houses. It's just that people cannot afford to buy a house, which makes the housing market dead, which makes sales decrease of houses. And I've even noticed on my side as a potential home buyer looking for a property, there were a bunch of properties that I saved on Zillow, just looking at them do a little bit of price reductions, but not to the point where I actually can make a decent offer, but all of a sudden they just disappear off of the market. A lot of sellers are taking their properties off of the market and waiting 2 or 3 years to sell their house in order to get the price they actually want for their house. And this is wreaking havoc on the housing market because yes, the demand is still high and the supply of houses are just not aligned with that demand. And as more and more people become priced out of the market, they are going to rentals, right? And so you have more and more larger banks getting into rentals, renting out these properties to home buyers or potential home buyers that were priced out of the market. And so there is definitely a slowdown in the housing market. So in today's video, we're going to talk about the supply issues, how home builders are feeling around this time, and what to look forward in 2023 in the housing market. Be sure to like this video, comment down below, and subscribe for some awesome content around personal finance, the housing market, and the economy as a whole. There's a whole host of reasons why I would say that the housing market is dead. And once again, housing market is dead. It's not saying that people don't want to buy houses. Is that people are priced out from buying houses. And so you just have larger banks and institutional investors and people with a lot of money buying houses. But I do believe even in today's market, if you truly want to buy your first investment property or buy a house, there's a way for you to do that. And I'm going to have a video soon on how to buy a house in 2023, how to buy your dream house or your first investment property in 2023. So stay tuned for that. So one of the main reasons why there's an issue with the housing market is because of the supply issue. And so the supply is being caused by a few things. So number one, interest rates are high. So the reason why the interest rates are high is because the Fed is raising the Fed rate, which sort of impact mortgage rates, but it's not direct. It's just through different factors. And with higher interest rates comes people not being able to qualify for different mortgages. And with that, they can't go buy a house. And so earlier this year, let's say you were qualified for a $400,000 house. Now that the interest rate is double, you no longer can afford that house, even though your income is the same and everything. It's just that essentially the mortgage payment is double than what it was earlier this year. And so that can make someone not qualify, price them out from that mortgage. And so you don't have as many buyers for a particular property than you had earlier this year. The other thing, what I spoke about earlier in this video, is supply is going down, not only on like the retail side or the buyer side, it's also going down on the regular consumer side. People who actually are considering selling their homes or just taking their properties off the market. According to a Redfin report, new home listings are down 22%. There are over 2,000 less homes listed compared to this time last year. Take a look at this chart of housing starts expressed as a seasonally adjusted annual rate. You can see earlier when the market crash happened in 06, 07, and 08, a lot of properties were starting to get started building essentially, and then that dropped significantly because of the recession. And then we're starting to see that same drop happen towards the end of 2022. You see that units in the buildings with 5+ units are going down a little bit, but even more than larger unit properties, you see single family properties and units between 2 to 4 units are going down as well. And essentially what this is saying, that home builders are not building or starting to build as many homes as they used to build. And then on top of that, retail consumers or everyday customer consumers are not going to these builders and starting a new build for homes because of mortgage rates, because of just the sentiment that people have around the economy, and they're not willing to invest money in starting a home build at this time. And if you take a look at the chart again, you notice that between 2000 and 2006, 2006, the thousands of units being built were significantly higher between the period of 2010 and 2022. Like even after the '08 recession, when we had good years between 2012 and like 2019, the number of units being built were still significantly lower than earlier between the 2000 and 2006 time range. So another reason why we have a supply issue is because for the past couple of years, even before the pandemic, we haven't been building as many homes as we needed. And so it's finally catching up to us now. Now, I talked about Home Builders Association or the Home Builders Sentiment before on this channel, but according to the National Association of Home Builders, sentiment is down to 31. So 31 out of 100. Anything over 50 is considered good or positive, that there's more confident builders building properties in a certain area than there are people who are not confident. And so right now that's 31. So that's well below that 50 range. And so you have a lot of builders having a pessimistic view on the economy. And talking about home builders, an obvious reason why home builders have a lower than average confidence in the housing market is because of, number one, higher interest rate, because yes, they borrow money also to build properties for materials and for labor. And then on top of that, materials are still relatively high and labor is still relatively high for them. And so in order for them to make money, you have a lot of builders actually buying or making properties that are 5 units or more in order for them to rent it out and get just a bigger return of investment instead of building single family homes. And if a home builder decides to build a single family home, they would have to offer incentives to potential sellers in order to sell that property, because mortgage rates are extremely high for the average home buyer. And so they have to offer them to pay down the mortgage points and offer to pay their closing costs and other offers around them buying a property. And so a lot of home builders don't actually want to do that because they want to keep more money in their bank. And so they're less motivated to build those type of properties. And so talking about home builder sentiment, look at this chart right here by the National Association of Home Builders. Every month in 2022, the current market expectations and traffic is just going down month by month. And it's reaching levels of when the pandemic first initially hit. And then it jumped high, of course, because of lower interest rates and people just having more money in their pockets. And so now it's just going extremely down at the moment. Another thing to consider in this housing market crisis that's going in is that a lot of local governments and states are easing the building restrictions in their respective counties or states and different areas. And so this allows a lot of builders now to build multifamilies in different areas and neighborhoods that are used to just having single family properties or that are zoned single families. And so they're becoming more relaxed in that in order to supply the demand of housing to people. But with that, is that going to also lower the standard of building, right? Of actually making sure a house is secure, that the materials are strong and different things like that. If it's only dealing with zoning, I can kind of understand that, but I hope they're not relaxing on their quality of the materials, the type of houses, and just how they build a house so we won't have less of a quality type of house. And you can kind of see that with how houses are built today compared to a few years ago. Obviously, the materials, it's just different, right? It's not as strong, it's not as durable and things of that nature. But yeah, you have that going on. And so some of the reasons why I think the housing market is dead is what I just discussed in this video, is because number one, there's just not as much activity in the housing market. Not because people don't want to buy homes, it's just that they can't buy homes. So you have a lot of buyers who are sidelined right now waiting for, number one, interest rates to go down, and then number two, for home prices to go down. And I don't really see that happening so much in 2023. I think, yes, you could see a slowdown in price, but I think interest rates will still remain elevated, which will still price out a lot of these home buyers. On top of that, you have a lot of home sellers taking their properties off the market, not even selling it. They're just going to wait until 2024, 2025 to sell it for a higher price, the price they actually want to sell the house for. And then on top of that, the housing market is dead because builders are not building single family properties. You're not building these neighborhoods that really drive an economy and a neighborhood, right? And so a lot of these builders are moving to units that are 5 units or more. Yes, those buildings and permits are going down, but it's not going as down as single family properties are. And so you have less building happening, more people taking their properties off the market, and buyers just not buying properties. And especially during this month, December of 2022, it's a winter month, and usually winter months are slow. And so this month is just slower than usual. And so hopefully we can re-energize the housing market sometime next year. I don't know how early, maybe during the summer it will look different, but I still think the summer 2023 would be way less of rush to buy a home than it was this year or last year. And so we will just have to wait and see. All right, be sure to like this video, comment down below, and be sure to subscribe to watch a video soon on how to buy your dream home in 2023. All right, talk to y'all later.